Hello and welcome to Vault Holocron. I'm Jonathan, and I'm sure you know that soon we will be getting the Book of Boba Fett show, set in the same time period as The Mandalorian. With Boba Fett finally getting his moment in the spotlight, I've decided to go through the Bounty Hunters Guild, which Boba Fett was heavily associated with. So first I'm going to briefly explain what a bounty hunter is, as they are what the Bounty Hunters Guild is based around. Bounty hunting was a profession where hunters were tasked with tracking down various people and capturing or killing them. These targets were usually criminals and had a bounty placed on them, which is the price for capturing or killing them, given by a client who would then pay the hunter the bounty. This is my basic rundown of what a bounty hunter is, but I'll definitely recommend thinking of The Mandalorian as an example, as I feel it really showed the profession well. So now I'm going to go into what the purpose of the Bounty Hunters Guild was. The Bounty Hunters Guild had the job of being the middleman between clients and bounty hunters, providing bounties to the hunters. Through the Bounty Hunters Guild, the profession of bounty hunting was legal, with the Bounty Hunters Guild working with governments. This meant that members of the guild could easily get jobs and hunt without needing to deal with the official government processes involved with taking a bounty, all with an official license which gave them this privilege. In the Imperial era, the Imperial Office of Criminal Investigations even had a branch dedicated to the guild, showing more government support. Being part of the guild and getting jobs officially through them did mean that a hunter had to follow the Bounty Hunters Code, which was a set of rules which every member had to follow. These rules included forbidding hunters to kill other guild members, forbidding hunters from stealing bounties, forbidding hunters from asking questions about bounties, and telling hunters not to share details of their jobs. Of course, as with any rules set, some members broke them. For example, a Raynat bounty hunter and a Nimbanel bounty hunter once tried to collect a bounty on Bosk's head, despite killing other hunters being forbidden. In the Imperial era, it was forbidden for members to work for rebels, with the Empire viewing it as treasonous. In the guild there were many roles, not just bounty hunting, although that was the focus of the guild. Bail bondsmen and agents were people in the guild tasked with offering jobs to bounty hunters. They themselves weren't the clients, but found the bounties from clients to give to hunters. Many of them got to know the hunters around them, and their skill level, giving the harder jobs to those who were better at hunting. They were also the ones to pay out after a successful job in most cases, with the exception being in cases where the hunter directly interacts with the client. The most well-known agent would be Greef Karga from The Mandalorian, although he did break away from the code at the end of Season 1. The guild was run by leaders who were elected by its members following a democratic system. To meet with a bondsman and get jobs, hunters would go to guild hubs, places which functioned as cantinas with bounties advertised inside, and many bounty hunters. In the time of the Empire, some Imperial planets also had posting agencies, offices where bounties were posted. Some of them even had law enforcement logs from the Imperial Law Enforcement Data Core, which were accessible to members, allowing for greater efficiency of hunters. So bounty hunters could go to guild hubs or posting agencies for jobs, but what happened from there? In getting a bounty, a hunter was given a holopuck, a small device which displayed a hologram of the bounty and the amount of credits it was worth. This was used with a tracking fob to track down the target. Tracking fobs were short-range sensors which could direct a hunter to the location of the bounty. They worked by using a chain code to identify the person, and then with the information provided by the code, they would beep as the person approached the target, allowing them to find the person. Anyway, that's it for explaining the guild. Now I'll give a brief history of the guild to provide more information on the institution. The guild operated during the prequels era, although not much is known about it specifically in this time period. Bounty hunters were very active in this time period though, and we know Bail bondsmen were in work at this time, with a Devaronian male working with Ventress at the time of Ahsoka being hunted down by the Jedi. More happened in the Imperial era though, with the Empire being more connected than the Republic was. In this time period, Imperial peacekeeping certificates were given to bounty hunters from the Guild, which meant that they could access the Imperial Enforcement Data Core. The Guild was also very negative about the Rebel Alliance, with the Empire not allowing hunters to work with them, and using the Guild often against the rebels. The Empire also used bounty hunters in very high importance cases, like putting a bounty on the Millennium Falcon, attracting Bosk, Dengar, Boba Fett, IG-88, Forlom, and Zuckuss. In these cases, the hunters worked more closely with the Empire, as seen in The Empire Strikes Back, where the hunters were all gathered on the Super Star Destroyer, the Executor. This contrasts most smaller cases where the hunters wouldn't meet the client, working for a guild agent. We know that guild agents were active in this time period, with a Twi'lek agent working with Boba Fett in the Age of Rebellion Boba Fett comics. Finally, I'm covering the New Republic era, the era you will most likely be the most familiar with, due to the Mandalorian. Not long after the Battle of Endor, the New Republic stopped hiring bounty hunters themselves, wishing to have their security forces looking strong. The Guild was still in operation though, being around for the events of the Mandalorian. Years later, when the First Order had risen, the Guild didn't really work with them, despite having worked closely with the Empire. This is thought to be because of the Order's strong ideals, and Vice Admiral Holdo even thought that they could form a partnership against the First Order with the Resistance. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this look into the Bounty Hunters Guild in preparation for the Book of Boba Fett, and we hope to see you later at Vault Holocron.